yes, you're learning technique, and yes, you can make things look realistic, but that's not everything. And so what the world wants to see is who you are and what you're interested in. Because anybody can be taught a technique, but they don't have your experiences. They don't have your beliefs and what you've been through. And so how can you put yourself into your work and not only just copy something you've learned out of a book or in a textbook or in academia, but who are you and how does your art define you?
The product, the process, the people. Ethos Decorum.
I'm Michael Booker. I'm a visual artist and professor at Montgomery College. And I'm originally from Mississippi.
Did you always want to be an artist?
I don't think so. In my youth, I think I wanted to design roller coasters. That was my dream job. That's what I thought I wanted to do until I started to get the engineering classes in school, and then it wasn't for me. So.
When did you make the pivot from engineering to artist?
When I didn't do too well in college, and I had to switch. Like, I was always drawing and doing something on my own, but in college, I went for engineering. And after my first year, I ended up changing and going into fine arts, and then it kept going from there.
When did you decide that you wanted to be an artist?
I think it was something I didn't consciously decide. It's like, this is what I want to do, but it was like the path that I was on in terms of from graduating from school, my undergrad in art, then going to grad school. It was something like I didn't know what else to do. And so like, it was like, if I'm not gonna do anything else, I gotta make this work. So this is what feels natural, this is what feels right. So I'm gonna pursue this, and then hopefully something will come of it. And this is where I am now.
How would you describe your style?
Well, I like to work with pen a lot, and that's kind of in terms of referencing embroidery and thinking about like how these pens look like embroidery and the history of tapestries and quilts, embroidery and all those things. So my style is very much like in that language, in that history of like textiles, quilt making and things like that. And like in this burst of color that I'm starting to use now into my work is something that's kind of been important to my style too. So I don't like to kind of define it as like this one name, like for the style I work, since I have a lot of influences that I look at. But that's how I describe what I'm doing right now.
You started working with a lot of black, white, and gray, and then you moved to red and green, and then you moved to now full color. How would you describe your transition with all of those different stages with your art?
So very early in my artistic career, when I was in undergrad, I was only using black and white and shades of gray. So at the time, I felt like color was a distraction, and I kind of want the content to kind of come forward more. And now like the color kind of determined things. And I kind of got tired, I kind of moved away from that, started exploring red, black, and green more, you know, for the Pan-African flag and the colors of the Pan-African flag to talk about who we are as a people, who we are as a person, to kind of concentrate on that and let those colors speak for me. Now I've been embodying like full color and thinking about like how those colors, that range of color, I can say so many different things and also point to a otherness of us. Instead of just only focus on like black or brown in the colors of our flesh, trying to focus on our spiritual nature and our inside. And so like the full color has kind of come out to kind of symbolize that for me.
How would you describe your technique to someone?
Yeah. Well, I would say one, it takes a lot of patience. Since I'm primarily just using fine liner pens, it's just a lot of just doing this over and over and over again for hours and hours on end. So before you even think about the technique, you got to think about the patience and the endurance that entails with doing the work that I'm doing now, I think. And so it can be very simple in simple concepts and simple mark making ability, but coming together, that repetition of a mark over and over again is pretty much my technique, just that repetition of that mark.
You do a lot of shading. Is there a process you have that's separate for shading for when you start the actual piece?
So what I do a lot is layer a lot of different colors on top of each other to get different values and to get different subtle changes in those values in different colors. So like trying to figure out those colors, trying to figure out those values, it's all about trying to come with different color pens on like a separate sheet of paper or scratch paper or whatever, and layering them to figure out like what I like and what I'm trying to achieve at that moment, and trying to figure out how that fits into the larger body of work that I'm working on. So now this is body of work that's kind of been inspired by Goody Mob, 90s hip hop group that was with Dungeon Family and Outkast. And so they had a song called Live at the Omni. And so that song, and in that song, they talk about taking the people of color who you would think any negative connotation about them, whether they're like drug dealers or gangbangers, whatever, taking those people and trying to build an Afrocentric, Afro Utopia, like a community that we can strive and build this self-sufficient community, and to see what that would look like. And so in my work that I'm working on now, I'm thinking of how can I envision that in my work, and what would that place look like? What would that Afrotopia look like in my work?
You use a lot of hair imagery in your current work you're doing right now. Why?
So in this series, with the people that I have in this series, I like to think about them as citizens of this place that I'm building, this Afro Utopia. And so with the people that I have in there, I don't like to show their face, because I like to think about them to represent an entire people, not just an individual. So because of that, I started to focus on other parts of the head to showcase them, to show them, and also think about things that are culturally significant to African Americans and people of the African diaspora. And so like hair is one thing that's been a big symbol for me, something that I use to identify them in one way, to show how their significance in that way. But also with the place that I think that I'm building, thinking about it as a physical place, it can be, but also kind of think about it as a state of mind. And so in their hair, it's kind of also like a projection of a way of thinking, a way of living, a way of being, to show what this Afro Utopia can be. Again, not only as a physical place, but as a state of mind.
What's next for Michael Booker?
What I think I'm doing now is to expand on this universe that I'm creating, and trying to really dig deep and create an entire narrative, an entire story in this universe, to see a start, a middle, and an end, and where it's going to go from there.